And welcome back to the OCE Championship Finals. My name is Hysterics, and here is Tom Courier-Lord-Snedden, and here is Alex Wolfie Foldy. It's his birthday today.
That's completely irrelevant, but sure.
He's joining us on the desk. And moving into the next series, before we do, for anyone who's just joined in, let's give you a bit of a refresher. It has been a big day of Rocket League so far, with Chiefs qualifying for RLCS.
It has. Chiefs qualifying is absolutely insane. Everyone expected it to happen, but the fact that it's so real now is absolutely crazy. And now Tainted Minds coming up against Legacy. This is a hot match to watch.
And it's a rematch of what we saw very recently, where Legacy beat them 3-1 in a very convincing fashion.
Earlier today, we saw the fallings from both of these teams. $25,000 prize pool for our OCE Championship. They move into a much bigger prize pool of the RLCS $250,000 prize pool, and this is just the beginning.
Most of our teams were looking at that 5,500 last year, but we're chasing all the way to the top of RLCS, baby. We want that 100,000 moving forward.
It's all about potential now, is that the OCE region has improved so much recently that we have a lot of potential to, get into 7th or even higher than that, and the Chiefs especially are hungry for it.
But while we're feeling birthday, man, let's go into Tainted Minds taking on Legacy. And Wolfie, I'll start with you because both of these teams have shown some signs of weakness today.
They have Legacy Esports. In all honesty, I expected them to beat Darksided, but previously Darksided have had a convincing strength against Legacy Esports, which is unlike the other teams here. But interestingly enough, and the one thing I want to talk about here is the fact that Legacy Esports are the only team that hasn't gone internationally, but Tainted Minds are looking pretty strong.
Yeah, Tainted Minds are one of our RLCS teams that want to be returning, and they've got Jules now as their newest player on the roster who wants to have a taste of what his team has had.
Jules had a pretty good day so far, and I think Jules has shown us his growth over the season, but now it's about that synergy. It's about Tainted Minds showing us why they went to RLCS in the first place.
And it's the skills that they do have. In the passes is where they really, really shine. They're so fast into the air as well, and it's how they get most of their goals.
For me, though, I think that Jules actually really needs to step up here because CJ, and Kami are really good at passing to each other, and Jules is a little bit uncertain about his position within the team, and he really needs to step up to allow the win here and to get those passes happening.
Yeah, I think a lot of the indecision he has comes from the fact his teammates run forward so aggressively and pass away from him preferentially, so he doesn't really know where he fits into the roster.
Now, for Tainted Minds, if they can breach that gap, if they can work as a three-man unit, but for Legacy, a lot of people were expecting them to take the win over Darksided, despite the loss in league play.
Legacy's playstyle, I think, is a lot more reminiscent of Chiefs, where you have Sirix, who kind of fills a similar role to Jake, reactive, takes a lot of demos, sets up the play for his teammates, and comes forward occasionally. But the rest of them, not so much.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had to look at Siki, right? During league play, he really outperformed everyone else on his team. There was a couple of matches where he absolutely carried them without a doubt. And now it's all about Delusion being consistent because his inconsistencies earlier caused them to actually lose a lot of the time against Darksided.
Well, Delusion On is an instant game winner. He's like top 3 in every single stat across the board. So when he's on, he just destroys you. If he's not on, you're losing that linchpin in a team that relies so heavily on rotations.
Yeah, objectively, Legacy Esports look like a really solid contender for that second place, but now that they're sitting here in the 3rd or 4th, the pressure is really on for them to perform.
So who works as a better three-man unit? Who has the synergy? Who has the cleaner play that'll get them over the line?
Well, I think, at least in my point of view, I think Legacy has better potential to make the run, but I think they're also the most likely to crumble under the pressure because you have Tainted Minds who have all been overseas. Pretty much every other team has RLCS players. Legacy's completely fresh.
Yeah, Legacy are a really fresh team, and I think that's what's good about them at the moment, is that Delusion being the rookie for this season, coming in looking very, very strong.
Now, Birthday Boy, let's start with you for the prediction. What side of the fence are you going to sit in the elimination round? And RLCS dreams are going to collapse here. Who do you bet on?
Well, backs against the wall, everything to lose and everything to gain. My bets are on Legacy here. Legacy Esports, they seem to be the faster team. And as I've said before, if Delusion could be consistent, he's an absolute monster.
That's fair.
I'm going to give it to Legacy as well. They are, I believe, a more consistent team. The fact they dropped last time means that they're more likely to land this one. That's not how probability works, but I'm going to run with it. So I'm going to go with Legacy nonetheless.
So Legacy. I would normally go for Legacy, but this time, considering Tainted Minds are on the edge and how they played earlier today, we've seen more consistency. We've seen a stronger team all over. I'm going to sit with Tainted Minds, and I'm going to say that this could be their game to take it, and Legacy might bow out early.
No, I think that's a fair assumption. It's pretty much anyone's game. It's going to be how fast do the pass plays go against the rotations of Legacy.
Tainted Minds taking on Legacy Esports as the game kicks into overdrive. Elimination on the line. And Tainted Minds, can they beat the mammoths of Legacy who beat them during league play?
It's going to be a strong, grueling match between the two. Last time they went head-to-head, the strength of Legacy absolutely destroyed them. It was the second most one-sided game in Throwdown history.
It was such a dominating performance from Legacy, but Tainted Minds, are they any different today? What changes them and how can they react better? Jules comes up for the field and Tainted Minds, within 30 seconds, have been able to get some big clears. CJ does not want to bow out early with the center there from Tainted Minds. You can see that the shot will come through lightly, but Jules goes too far to the wing.
And we're already seeing Tainted Minds starting strong with the goal from Kami, the absolute aerial machine of Tainted Minds, securing a strong start as they move forward.
A good reaction from Jules to center that ball, and that's the communication. The communication channels are now open for Tainted Minds with the first goal in 35 seconds. Here we go.
And now it's going to be about the kickoff, because Tainted Minds are a team that is most likely to run forward and chase the ball to get those early aggressive plays. And we're seeing the strong start follow up with Kami getting a second.
And you can see immediately off that kickoff, that was bound to happen. It hits that crossbar, bounces back. Jules takes like a wide shot, but Kami's there just in case. But Tainted Minds, a good, strong showing for game number 1.
The trust is the best indicator of how Tainted Minds are going to go. If some of their players start running forward and the rest of them back them, it typically turns into a goal just because they're so incredibly fast. But if there's indecision, that's when they start to fall apart and Legacy will start to get a leg up.
Delusion goes back in front of the net. They now come in for a big commit. CJ waits for it to bounce down. It's the pass over to Jules, and one member from Legacy's hanging back. That was Siki. Now from the side, Xerx loses the ball, turns into a center. A big clear as Jules jumps up. And they're 2 goals behind for Legacy, but 3 minutes, 40 seconds remaining. There's still plenty of time as they find the angle right.
That is a filthy angle found by Siki. His job is to get in there, take all the shots, do all the assists to help pepper the net before the follow-ups come through.
Your Legacy 1 goal separates, and now they're back into this thing. But Tainted Minds, they're both facing off elimination here, and Tainted Minds is not the spot they want to be. They've beaten Darksider before, and going up next, they'll be like, hang on, Darksider beat us in a best of 7. This can't be good. In front of the net, Legacy, oh no! CJ capitalizes.
They're just taking turns, taking Legacy apart. Goal after goal after goal. Legacy's in some serious trouble.
And you know what? Net after net after net. Tainted Minds find it the 3rd time. And for Legacy, they're back where they started.
And now it's about turning it around. We saw last time that Legacy fell down when it came to the mental fortitude of the pressure Darksider put upon them. And now can they hold it together now that there's even more stress? You're at the final run.
With a good pass from Delusion, CJ steals it away and brings it back up. Tainted Minds getting creative again, and off this back wall now for Jules to dunk down. Tainted Minds, they're bringing in the fire.
They are doing an insane amount of damage. They've nearly scored more goals in this single game than they did against League Play Legacy. So the adaptation that they've put in, what they've learned about beating Legacy has definitely paid off.
This feels like it was Tainted Minds' day in the match versus Chiefs. They took more games than Darksider did. Off that kickoff, Legacy's normal strength has been denied away by Tainted Minds. On the defensive, they're playing with the ball a little bit more. That 3-goal advantage coming up strong for Tainted Minds. 3 minutes left remaining. CJ gets the ball forward. Xerx keeps it to a slow halt. The passing upfield by Siki. Jules comes back around from the corner again. Pops it through the intercept. Read easily by Kami. And it'll be CJ again from this corner, popping it through. He's run out of boost, but he'll still follow it all the same. OCE Esports going to have to adapt, show their discipline against Tainted Minds.
The fact they can't break out of the half, though, is a terrible indicator when you have 2 minutes 30 left on the clock and you're struggling with possession. The death knell is already starting to ring, and it's only game 1.
Well, forward pass again from Tainted Minds. I should say Legacy. This one sweeps across. They're coming so close on the side of Legacy. Delusion will bring it back in, and Legacy Esports want to make sure they're not eliminated. Siki in front of net. CJ sends it away. Rivalry between Tainted Minds and Legacy. You can see they're both strong teams, dominant in their own right. But in game 1, the dominance is definitely still coming out of Tainted Minds.
And Delusion getting that touch is the start we need to see if they want to pull this back. He is the player that they're determined to use to get through the defense.
Who will return to RLCS? Who will make their first run in RLCS? That's the question in this series. A bump forward, Siki on the defense, pops it away. CJ comes back up, playing ever so aggressive. 1 minute 40, down the field they go from Tainted Minds. Defensive passing going to have to come in order. CJ from the side, now stolen away by Sirix. Brings it back around, Delusion comes in. Kami, upfield we go. 1 minute 30 remaining, 3-goal lead by Tainted Minds. Game 1 could be as good as theirs.
It's a problem when you have a rotational style going up against the fastest team of the 4. How do you keep control of the ball?
When times like that happen, Korea, you can't. 4-goal lead. Tainted Minds, a 5-1 start, and that bounced off the roof, but CJ comes back around, rotates in front of the net, sweeps it all through.
Tainted Minds are going to have some of their confidence back, and that is a scary thing. We've listened in on their comms before. They start to get the bans, they get very relaxed, and not in a way that's detrimental to themselves. They just get super chill, and their play just gets better and better.
But you know what, for Tainted Minds, I know they didn't have much confidence coming into, at least today. They said, oh, look, we're not going to make it to RLCS. They've fallen to the lower bracket, but they're definitely not out. They can still make the reverse run. They can still walk all the way up. A light touch from Jules will bring it closer and closer. And Game 1 was strong against the Chiefs as well.
And they've got Kami switching on, Jules rotating well with the rest of the team. So the little check mark to see how well they do is starting to come up in their favor.
Well, Legacy will get another goal. 40 seconds for 3 is a big ask. It's been done before in the OCE Championship. But in the top 4 finals, it's a different story.
I think the thing we need to look at coming out of that goal is whether or not it's going to be Tainted Minds as running forward, opening themselves up to these huge clears, or if that was just a one-off. Because we did see Tainted Minds throwing away a huge lead against Retirement Home in the league play just from counterattacks alone. So as long as they shore up that defense when being so aggressive, they could be okay for the rest of the run.
CJ coming in stronger. You see the rotations from Tainted Minds. They're quite slick. They're able to push the aggression, then go all the way back. A quick sweep through from Legacy Esports. There's 15 seconds left remaining. Sirix pops it in front. Jules and CJ will help clear it together. For Tainted Minds, they started 1-0 against the Chiefs. However, after that career, the Chiefs came back. So let's see if it's just Game 1 or if there will be a change in Tainted Minds throughout the series.
The last time these two versed each other, the final game was 7-1 Legacy's way. They Braziled them. Now we have the inverse, where Tainted Minds have just come back, they've hit the books, they've hit it hard, and they've just found the holes that Legacy used to beat them and are utilizing them against them.
6-2 start, close to a 7-2 start. And this ball will roll and hit the ground. Tainted Minds not out of it just yet for Legacy. It could be dire after one game, but let's see where this takes us. Game 1, Tainted Minds.
And a convincing show at that, with these guys being very confident as they're slowly crushing the minds of the Legacy players with incredible passes coming out of everywhere.
It's really, really good to see Tainted Minds come out of the gate hot, but Legacy Esports have shown that no amount of pressure will hold them down. They've always been the team that'll never get tilted, that'll never fall behind and be like, it's over. They can maintain their level of skill.
Well, they need to. There's so much on the line. This match decides whose RLCS run immediately just ends.
Yeah.
So you need to step up. You need to be on your A game. And for Legacy, turning it back around is going to be difficult. We've seen already in the past week or two when they start to drop, mentally, their plays start to falter. Sirix can fall back into his old habits of just staying in the net, peeking outwards.
Yeah.
And you lose that aggressive Sirix that has done so well for the roster, giving them the rotations where all three can shoot.
It's so split down the middle, and like you saw there with the poll result, 52% for Legacy. That amount of backing behind either team is quite respective of how the results have gone in the past. And although Tainted got beaten out by Legacy, Legacy secured second seed. They haven't versed Tainted in the past week. In the top 6 playoffs, Tainted Minds, they clawed their way through, almost got destroyed by Retirement Home, almost got taken out. Well, they did get taken out by Darksided. They went to 14 games in total in their 2 series.
It was an insane week last week. The fact that everyone went to the end shows just how hungry they are this week, and Tainted Minds have been clawing at it for nearly 14 days.
So let's jump once again back into Game 2 for Tainted Minds taking on Legacy Esports and see if Tainted Minds can keep up that level of consistency for Legacy. Oh, and Tainted as well. They're both facing elimination from the OCE Championship, and an RLCS dream will come to an end in this series.
Control coming through as well, though. Despite getting pushed into their half, they still managed to get the touch. The intercept, though, Jules
Comes in hot, Tainted Minds. There was a DC there. I'm not sure what just happened, but Siki goes up for the ball. Jules sweeps past. And I'm hoping that was, well, there's not much you can do about it anyway. We'll find out, but Tainted Minds, a 1-0 start.
And a strong showing. We are seeing Jules again moving forward. He's the rookie player of their team. This being his first championship series.
Oh, another one found through Korea. Tainted Minds. It looks like it wasn't just game one.
And they're keeping the momentum coming as they slowly take Legacy apart. With only 30 seconds being used on the clock, and they already have that 2-0 lead. Legacy really needs to sprout some new ideas.
They really do. Game 2, Tainted Minds lead 2-0. And if you're a fan of Tainted Minds, you're definitely getting your fill here. Jules pops it, wins the 50-50. Now for Tainted Minds, they're pushing ever so far ahead. Legacy were the favorites, but only by 2% or 4%. That's how 100% works. Jules comes all the way back, now meets with Delusion. Legacy trying to push forward in the Tainted Minds defense. It doesn't phase him whatsoever. Jules runs up with the ball. The confidence now from this man comes out of the corner. Kami comes in as Jules drops from the ball. And Tainted Minds, they've got time to play with here. And Legacy, they're running out of it.
They've just got all the possession. You just see every opportunity that Legacy gets out, they get the clear. Tainted Minds takes the ball, turns it into a pass play, and now it's about how many shots they need to open the net, or whether they need to start transitioning to demos, because they've got the possession, they've got the opportunities.
Well, they see the intercept there, and Legacy take it. They run upfield with the ball as CJ comes out of the corner himself, pops it down center field, and Delusion will get the pass, but it's a little bit slow. Siki from the corner again, and Tainted Minds. We talk about the speed, the interaction. It looks like the speed is winning out as Tainted Minds. They blocked that one away with the help of Jules. Coming down for the dunk is Sirix over to Siki. The angle right, but not in. No close, no cigar, no Delusion, says Tainted Minds. Siki comes in, the third shot for Legacy, and even that's blocked.
Kami running out of boost and still holding that defense, allowing them to sit on that 2-0 lead has been pivotal in deciding how this game is going to go.
Siki comes back around, Tainted Minds getting out of their defense now. Kami with the runaway gets Delusion. A bit of a buster shot onto the offensive member from Legacy Esports. They come back through, 2 minutes 50, and looks like I'm getting choked up on the performance by Tainted Minds here in game 2. Legacy Esports are struggling. They're trying to push the ball forward. The defense holding out from Tainted. It's what we saw against the Chiefs, that the defense from Tainted Minds was in new form today.
And it's holding so strong. Legacy is starting to get the shots from the midfield, but they haven't been meaningful enough to build into a pressure play. Tainted Minds happy just to put it into the corner, eventually clear, and have all three men ran back for the defense. Happy and at home.
Jules is committing for these solo plays, Korea. Now opening things up for Kami as it hits that backboard. It'll jump back down to Siki, but Jules is there first again. From the corner, CJ comes back in. This is a light touch that Sirix will just hand back over to Kami. It goes over the top. It hits the backboard again. And Tainted Mind says, you want a piece of this? We'll take it all the way. Legacy Esports send 4 shots into Tainted Mind's defense, but Tainted hit right back.
Every time Legacy tried to get a touch to start a clear, Tainted Minds is too fast, gets the intercept and says, yeah, nah, and followed that up with consecutive shots.
Kami against that back wall, now jumping in front. A slight angle that is reacted well by Legacy. They can get the push away, but unfortunately Tainted are back in. Intercept after intercept and damage after damage to this Legacy roster. 1 minute 30 remaining and time has pretty much run out. Tainted Minds holding on.
Another case of Jules beating Legacy to the air, setting up the goal,
yes!
And finishing it himself. 3-0 to Tainted Minds.
Now, you know that I love all our top 4 teams, but when Tainted Minds managed to pull Jules out of the corner, Patrick Swayze himself says, that's why we don't put Baby in the corner.
What a poetic moment, though. You have Jules, the newest player on the Tainted Mind roster, the one that wants to go to RLCS for the first time, going head-to-head with a challenge against Sirix, one of the most veterans who never has gone either.
They push forward, and for Legacy Esports, they're just trying to breach this defense. It's painful to watch when you consider how Legacy have had such a convincing league play split. Now in front of the net, this is an open one for Jules. Tainted Mind's accuracy getting better.
Shot after shot. They're just slowly taking Legacy apart, and it's starting to get hard for me to watch because I just feel so strongly for the Legacy players when Tainted Minds are just running over them.
But for Tainted Minds, this is clean. This is a good start. They have to work towards Darksided and Legacy alike. They have to start working towards the opportunity of facing Darksided for the last RLCS spot and the last spot in our championship final. For Legacy right now, there's going to be a struggle coming back from a 2-game deficit. They can do it. They do not find pressure that much intimidating. If that was English, it wasn't. It's not that intimidating for Legacy Esports. They have an opportunity to climb their way back, but they've got to start.
I think they could just be in trouble. The fact they're starting to crumble in the first match, they crumble in the second match, I think it's going to be a mental fortitude problem rather than the fact that they don't have the skill.
Well, Tainted Minds begin their run here. For Legacy, the pressure has built up so much. And I'm not talking about them for their mentality's sake. I'm talking about into this defense. Tainted Minds are getting clear after clear, response after response, and playing into the midfield a lot. Tainted Minds are happy to just walk up the field.
They can just put a flag there. They pretty much own the midfield at this stage.
Well, time's going to tick down, Korea, but game 2, this ball hit the ground. Tainted Minds with a dominant performance with a 2-0 lead.
Complete inversion of what we saw in league play, where we saw Tainted Minds get decimated by Legacy, but they've just flipped it on a dime. And look at that. They had more goals than Legacy had shots.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. That was 11 shots by Tainted Minds. 4 goals coming out of them. And Jules, growth. Stepping up, I was going to say, but I don't want to say stepping up. There was growth. And now it's being showcased.
Yeah, Legacy typically has the most shots when they go into a game. The fact that you can lock them out so heavily as a team that doesn't even rely around pressure plays, that's not what Tainted Minds is famous for. Shows that they've adapted, they've changed their playstyle to favor themselves now against Legacy, and it is just paying off so well.
Early lead for Tainted Minds. However, we do have some support from Nash Horn. He says, let's go Legacy boys, and hopefully that brings them back into the spirit of things. Thank you very much, Nash. And for Legacy, this is going to be a tough ask. This is going to be a tough challenge for them, being 2 games behind. But nothing's impossible for Legacy Esports.
No, but I don't know. Tainted Minds is it's such a strong showing. When they get the ball rolling, they are terrifying. They're faster to the ball. Pretty much every time Legacy tried to get the ball out of there, the intercept was immediate. Kami was already up, and he's one of the best aerial players in the entire region. And if your weakness is aerials and you're against Tainted Minds, one of the best aerial teams and also one of the fastest teams.
They live in the air. They're literally an airbender. They live in the air. Game number 3. Let's find out if these airbenders can learn some other elements as well. Wolfie wanted to see Jules step up, Korea. I think we've seen it in game number 3.
For it.
Well, he definitely did. Kami wait in front of net again. Tainted Minds in a good position. Hey, Jules. Welcome to the party.
I was about to say, have we mentioned Jules today? Another great shot with the goals already there. 3 players opened up by Kami. It's the teamwork that comes out of them. The pass plays off the backboard or the pass plays off the wall that enables them to get these shots.
Tainted Minds, they lead game 3 already. Off the kickoff now, the recovery will be left for Delusion. Legacy love these kickoff goals, but Delusion goes over the ball. Not sure what's going on with Legacy, but this is a bit of a struggle for a team that is not experienced in moving into RLCS, although Siki and Sirix would have otherwise. I think for Delusion right now, maybe the pressure's getting to them. Maybe I was wrong.
The strange thing for me is, looking at Tainted Minds, they're the easiest team to score upon in our top 4. And the fact that Legacy is struggling to break through has shown the changes that Tainted Mind has put into place. They've worked on that defense. They've shored up their weaknesses, and it's just paying off so well.
It's coming close. They're hitting that backboard like it's no tomorrow. Tainted Minds now may have made a mistake as the breach through. Net's 1 for Legacy.
That's the weakness they have to avoid, and Sirix spots it immediately. All 3 have run forward, and he just gets it over everyone's head.
Good control from Delusion. That's the setup we're waiting for from Legacy Esports. And in game 3, there are those signs of life.
Getting those pass plays online is critical to deciding how Legacy is going to go against Tainted, because if you can't get any through and you allow them to get the intercepts, you're locked out of the middle of the pitch.
You have to remember who else will commit for kickoff goals. It'll be Tainted Minds. So Legacy Esports, it's 1 basket out of the basket. I don't know, maybe egg out of the basket. That's probably what it is. In the midfield, Tainted Minds now pushing up with the ball, but as it rebounds off, Legacy will be coming around to commit. 2 members. Kami gets it past 1, pops it over the other. This is great from Kami, but the 3rd and final Sirix will manage to bring it back down. CJ intercepted as Kami goes back. It narrowly gets out of the goal. Jules will use the pace on the ball, and what turned bad for Tainted Minds came close to turning good.
And now they have an opportunity to get on defense and break back out as Legacy try again to take some shots to no avail.
Sirix will send it in front of net. CJ with a light touch and Legacy maybe figuring out Tainted Minds. As CJ leaves it for Jules, Siki goes over the top, and Illusion now waiting for the 50-50, wins it over, but doesn't give anything to Legacy.
It's the giant clears coming out of Tainted Minds that have separated them from Legacy, and their ability to follow up on it as well. When they get the clear, they make sure it stays where it needs to be.
Siki with a big touch. Sirix didn't go for the bump, and in fact, for now, Tainted Minds, they're passing back to Kami. Bringing it forward, Sirix with the shot. Will be angled away by Jules, but Sirix comes back in, hits the angle right. CJ in front of net. Siki the last defender. Kami wants to run away with it. That ball's got pace, but it's not the right angle. In comes CJ, blocked away by Delusion. Now for Legacy, can they run away?
Getting out is going to have to be the first step, but two members of Tainted Minds were ready and waiting in that corner to wait and draw CJ the time he needs.
Slow bump from Siki will get Tainted Minds out of the way, but the clear from Kami. A good read. This is who we needed to see more of from Kami. Yes, Jules stepping up, but Kami also, we want to see his RLCS Season 4 performance.
Where he was regarded as one of the strongest players in the entire region. When he comes
Oh
online.
no. That's a breakaway, Courier.
A freebie running across the map.
But you know what? It was Jules again, and we see a quick DC. I'm not sure what's going on. Maybe it's just a weird tilt thing. Who knows? But Jules, he rolls with the ball forward. And Legacy are behind again.
They've had some adaptations. They've cleaned up their play in since the last two games, but it hasn't been enough.
They bring themselves back forward. Siki and Sirix the passing play now. And all three members are there. I think someone keeps disconnecting and then coming back after the goal's done. Fair enough, 2-1. Legacy Esports pushing upfield, but Tainted Minds, they get to intercept from Kami. They take the ball, they swing it. Sirix getting back around, but he gets demoed. CJ now setting it up on that backboard, and the defense going to be hard when you have one less player. Jules coming back in, and Tainted Minds, they're not stopping Courier. Another demo from Jules.
It's the defensive demos and the offensive demos. Demos are the secret weapon when you can't break through.
Oh, good read from Kami. CJ's back in. Jules there as well. Hits the crossbar, but the pressure keeps building up from Tainted Minds. A minute 20 remaining. What can Legacy do with the ball? Looks like the answer this time is nothing, as Sirix will reach out for the clear. CJ coming around the ramp, now pushing up with the ball as well. From the backside, Jules comes back in. A minute left remaining. Tainted Minds reaching around the goal and getting ever so close to scoring that nail-biting 3-1.
But the Tainted Minds offense coming forward, challenging and making sure that their follow-up teammate has the perfect angle to enable more shots, is keeping the pressure deep within Legacy's half.
Jules and CJ running up now for Kami, but Jules again angled a little bit to the left, and Tainted Minds getting so close again with a big clear from Legacy. They want to bring themselves back into the game. Siki comes close. This is just such a moment for Legacy where they want to retain themselves at least a game, get themselves back into the series. But Tainted Minds, they're staring down the barrel of a 3-0 start in this series. Delusion with the intercept. Gets well read by CJ. CJ, it's not good, Courier. CJ pops it up. Sirix lucky to defend.
The game has slowly been taken away. It was a stronger showing from Legacy, but with only 10 seconds left on the clock,
But
and
Courier,
not a lot of control.
not just yet. Sirix brings it back for Delusion. He sweeps past the ball. Sirix has a last opportunity. Tainted will hit this around to the ground. And game 3 goes to Tainted Minds.
That final counting down seconds was the story of the match thus far. We saw just how much faster Tainted Minds was. They get to the ball immediately. They get the passes and connections they need without getting intercepted.
Match point for Tainted Minds here, Korea. The Chiefs just went through and cleanly swept Darksided. Tainted Minds are versing Legacy, and with all expectations being on Legacy to perform, Tainted Minds are just reaching over and taking it themselves. Match point for them. They have one to take it away.
I think that's the big difference between having that RLCS experience. The stress and the pressure are still there, but it's how you can manage it and keep your gameplay consistent despite all the pressure.
This game wasn't a dominant win by Tainted Minds, though. They had a lot of opportunity and a lot of shots. 2-1 is not convincing enough for me, whereas games 1 and 2 definitely were. So there's some change-up that's being done by Legacy.
I think there's definitely been some change-up. The first two games were just murder, where this one I would still consider a pretty strong favoring in terms of Tainted Minds. I think it's better to look at shots rather than goals. It's a good indicator of how it went. The fact they doubled the number of shots implies they have a much larger amount of possession.
Yeah.
And it also meant that the shots that Legacy were getting weren't good enough to convert to goals.
Well, For Legacy Esports, they're now facing down elimination in this last game. Can they make the reverse sweep? Can they bring it back? Delusion, the kickoff goals just aren't working. Or maybe they are. Cyrix coming close. Jules bringing back forward. He gets it past one. He maintains a Tainted Minds possession for a second. And Kami doesn't even need to come through. He'll wait in the midfield and he'll pass it down to CJ for the banger. He has 5 boosts. Now 2. Jumps back in. Kami around. And for Tainted Minds, it's looking so fast, it's hard to keep up.
The secret sauce they now have is that when they come forward, they are ready to send all 3 players back. They don't overextend and they don't get punished for it, enabling them to have this stabbing offense that either puts a hole in you or they can run back safely.
With the 1970 Szechuan in holdings, Tainted Minds continue to push forward. They're keeping around the midfield and Delusion without boost, getting a demolition onto CJ, but Kami. Big moments for him in this series so far. Jules comes up forward as well. I think with that big clear, Jules will be able to do something with it. Maybe CJ. They pass over. Sticky intercepts. Look at the pace on that one.
What a boomer. The pass play coming out from Delusion to Sicky is what they need. If they can avoid the intercepts and get it ready and roaring, they might just be able to do it. And Sicky was the man to pick. Sicky can cut so fast that Tainted Minds can't intercept.
But look at that. He went over the top of CJ. And for him to maintain his speed and actually land front first on that ball, that's the individual talent of Sicky. Kami will bring it back around. Tainted Minds are once again in front of this net. CJ comes a little bit lightly to the side, and Jules will be waiting for the finisher. But for Tainted Minds, they're behind for the first time in this series. A good block by Cyrix. Kami has the shot. Jules back into defense. He hops up. And for Legacy, maybe this is the momentum. This is the speed boost that they really needed.
Wouldn't be the first time we've seen reverse sweeps here as it gets more and more closer to that nail-biting moment. But if they can hold it for that long is going to be the hard bit.
Kami comes off with the second touch, a quick bump onto Cyrix, and now Delusion around the wall. Sticky's in front of net. A miss, but not in the right time for Legacy Esports. 3 minutes left remaining. Sicky hangs back. Tainted Minds playing slow with the ball. Kami for the solo. He's in front of net. This is so dangerous for Tainted Minds. But they manage to retain the ball. It doesn't go into the net, and for Legacy Esports, 1 goal's not enough. It's not comfortable enough, Korea.
The controlled aggression there from Legacy as the roster came forward, noticing the ball was locked in the corner with no pace on any Tainted Minds player, so they were safe from the clear, and as soon as that changed, they then rotated back and not risking getting scored upon.
Kami comes forward a little bit faster than usual. Now for Delusion, the read. Is this rookie going to lose out on RLCS? Legacy seems to think 1 game could be theirs. CJ, he's just been centered the ball. It should be free, and it is.
Getting it in on his own. He is a solo machine as he just runs up the field. CJ is the man you need when you need hat tricks, you need goals, and you need to finish.
1-1. Tainted Minds, they don't want this to be a 4-1 or a 4-2. They don't want Legacy to have a chance to come back in this series. Tainted Minds want to take it all out now. CJ off the kickoff. Cyrix narrowly saving that one, but CJ's not done with the ball just yet. Delusion comes in, but what about the rest of Tainted Minds? They're set up perfectly as Jules gets blocked. Now taking it away is Kami, and CJ will have to be the one to respond.
It's the final form of Tainted Minds. Their rotations are now perfectly clean. Jules is now disruptive as he is confident to come forward and score, enabling them to do terribly terrifying pressure plays and terrifyingly fast pass.
Jules gets demoed, but it doesn't mean Kami didn't set up that play properly. CJ over the top goes Sicky. Cyrix goes up for the ball, but Jules is coming in. 16 boost. Jules, you're a fiend!
Taking it away, another goal for Jules as he slowly cuts down the tree of Legacy's dreams.
I tell you what, for Jules, he has had a difficult time during this season. Why? Because a lot of people said that Jules wasn't cutting it. I tell you what, Tainted Minds, have a look at Jules, have a look at who's striking and who's defending. Jules has been an upstart, if I've ever seen one.
And he's terrifying from the air with so many aerial touches and goals. He's a player you very much have to be careful of.
We interviewed him during the week, and Jules, I mean, there was a slight lack of confidence, I would say. I think Tainted Minds weren't expecting to have a good run, and although, yes, they're in the lower bracket, against Legacy, this is a great showing, one that Dark-Sided could be fearing right now. Tainted Minds hold the lead. The RLCS spot, it could be theirs. CJ!
What a convincing way to finish it too. There may be 1 minute 20 left on the clock, but when it looks like a 4-0, it looks like a 4-0.
For Legacy Esports, they have come so close during this season. They've been climbing up the ladder. They get second seed. Don't forget, Tainted Minds, they're our 4th seed. They went up against the Chiefs. They took the first game. But the Chiefs managed to claw their way through. Darksider didn't even take a game. Tainted Minds today is not the Tainted Minds that struggled during league play.
It's the Tainted Minds of last split where we saw them come out of nowhere and destroy everybody, take that second seed and run to RLCS.
There might not be many new players going to RLCS, but we do have a guarantee there will be new players, at the very least, heading to the world stage. The Copper Box Arena in London awaits. Could be for one of these teams, could be for Darksider. We just don't know that yet. But for Tainted Minds, it's a 3-1. They may have just done enough to take down Legacy, and the run has come to an end for Legacy Esports as they're back on the defensive, and Tainted Minds do not look like letting up.
And they are incredibly hungry. The Tainted Minds we're seeing now is the Tainted Minds that can beat Darkside and go up and challenge the Chiefs to be kings of OCE.
Tainted Minds, no one expected this. The seeding difference, the challenge during league play. Tainted Minds have burned themselves up. They're not out of this run just yet. Legacy Esports will be going home as the 4th new seed, but Tainted Minds, they've secured 3rd, and now their RLCS journey will continue.
The curse of Cyrix continues, unable to break into that top 3.
Korea.
But Tainted Minds are our hope looking forward. They're a team that wants to return to RLCS. They did a great performance here, and now Darksided, another team composed of RLCS players, will be their big opponent.
Birthday boy, Tainted Minds, took a 4-0. Now, a 4-3 or 4-2 people might have expected, but a 4-0 against Legacy Esports.
I didn't expect this at all, but I have to say it. Jules played out of his mind. He was an incredible player. He was pivotal for the offensive win from Tainted Minds. They played out of their mind. I'm pretty much speechless after watching his performance.
Yep.
The double touch in that last game, absolutely incredible. And I hate to say it, but Cyrix is going home and he's not being able to lift that curse, as you said, Courier. Tainted Minds played outstandingly, but this is only the start of the road for them. They're up against Darksided, then possibly up against Chiefs after that. So opening up Pandora's box here, very interesting to see those matchups.
Do you reckon the Ginger Ninja can help lead the charge against Darksided?
Well, you said it before, everyone loves a bit of Ginge, and as we go into this, obviously the next matchup here, if Jules can play like he did there, I wouldn't be surprised if Tainted Minds can beat Darksided.
Oh, yeah, it's completely different. I wouldn't say, almost style. The fact you can
Yeah.
rely on Jules to come forward and do these plays means that even when they have to rotate back, the confidence is there. You typically see them like faltering and flailing in the defense on the return of the rotations, but they're not. It's all clean.
Now, unfortunately, Legacy will be knocked out in 4th place again for Cyrix and Siki. They had a great run during league play, but it just was not enough in the end to take down experienced veterans like Tainted Minds. They move forward to Darksided. Now, for Tainted Minds, or even Legacy, but you would be looking at Tainted Minds.
Yeah.
The Omen by HB MVP contender. Who would you pick?
Well, I said it before, but Jules, 100%.
Yeah.
He played out of his mind. He was up in the midfield in those aggressive positions that he needed to be in, and he allowed for CJ, and Kami to give them the confidence that they needed to absolutely thrash Legacy.
Simply 4K. You just saw that tweet up before. I'm going to mention it because, don't get comfortable. It's not over till it's over for Tainted. And that's exactly right. It is not over. Our second last series is coming up next. Against Darksided, Tainted Minds will have their work cut out for them. Wolfie's going to disappear, but a big happy birthday again to Wolfie. It's been great having you on the desk. It's been great having you. Next up, you know exactly what it is. We're going to have a 5-minute break, and when we return, more action.